is almost done. I'm going to bring the people in now. Okay, we're live.
Okay, everybody all set?
I think so.
Okay. We'll call to order the Board of Education meeting at 6:34. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the
of the
flag
United
of the
States of
United States
America
of America,
and to the
and to
republic
the
for which
republic
it
for which
stands,
it stands,
one nation, under
one
God, indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
liberty
justice for
and
all.
justice for all.
Since we're on Zoom, I'm just gonna ask people to do roll call. So we'll start with Joe.
Deb, why don't you just list off the names? You could see
Okay.
them.
I can't see them, that's the problem. So
Like, you do it
Joe
Oh, I
Matisovich,
can. I was trying to unmute. I'm here.
Nicole,
Here.
Vic,
He's here. He's just muted.
Steve needs to be unmuted and so does Shelley.
Where'd Steve go? Here we go.
Here.
Steve, is that you?
I'm here. Thanks. I'm unmuted now.
Vic is here. Nicole's here. Vinny,
here.
Shelley. I know Shelley couldn't get unmuted.
She's on the screen, but she's muted.
Okay, and Mike Kuza.
Here.
I'm here, but I unmute myself when Rob or somebody allows me, but then as soon as I go mute again, I cannot get unmuted afterwards. So if you don't hear from me, that's why.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Shell. So, any amendments to the agenda? None? Okay, and approval of minutes. Mike,
Like to make a motion to approve the February 28th, 2023 Board of Education minutes.
Second,
is that Shelley
yes.
or Nicole? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. And next topic is audience of citizens. If anyone would like to address the board, please raise your hand. Unfortunately, Rob, I can't see, so if you can let me know if there's anybody that wishes to speak.
Yep. If anyone has a desire to speak, please use the chat, but the hand button to raise your hand. And Mike and I will take a look.
I'm not seeing any.
Yep.
I'm not seeing you.
Nobody all set?
Apparently.
Nobody? Okay, let's move on. Board correspondence and communications. Mike?
None. No board correspondence or communication.
Great. Report of the superintendent, Dr. Miller.
Actually, we skipped over an action item.
I'm sorry?
We skipped over an action item.
The MOU for Secretary Sick
Oh,
Bank.
okay, sorry. The discussion of the MOU for the sick bank.
Yes. So we have a secretary that that's out on medical leave and has run out of sick days. And I'm asking the board to give Stephanie authorization to develop an MOU between the board and the Secretarial Association so that we can create a temporary sick bank for this individual for a limited period of time. This would be not precedent setting. We put in the MOU that this is a limited one-time event that have no future impact on collective bargaining in the future. to just help this individual out. It's an unusual circumstance right now.
Anyone have any questions for Dr. Miller?
No.
No,
Rob, have we done this in the past with any of the bargaining units, or is it just normally in their
We
contract?
haven't needed to because most of the other associations have some form of a sick bank in their collective bargaining agreement. This contract particularly does not have one.
Does any board members have any questions or concerns or anything?
No.
nope.
So we would need a motion to authorize the, so I'll make the motion to authorize the board chair to sign the MOU as discussed with the board and with Dr. Miller at our meeting this evening.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. Now we're back on track to the report of the superintendent.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to share my screen now. And there we go. You can see it now.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. I thought it'd be helpful to take the board and the audience, the community through just a few slides on why we are looking to relocate our central office and where some of the ideas came from and the space that it would be using where we're going to. So first of all, there's a huge budget savings. One of the primary reasons we're looking to shift central office for our current location is it's costing the district between $60,000 to $80,000 per year. That's electricity, that's oil, pest management, snow removal, and any building licenses that go along with maintaining a school. It essentially is our fifth building that we're maintaining, and we'd like to shift that money back to education, back into the classroom to support kids in the schools. The second is dealing with operations. And really, when you take a look at it, we have dedicated custodian, we have maintenance staff, we've got to maintain another large fifth building for the district. And we're finding that there's excessive costs related to maintaining what is now our oldest building. I'll give you some data on that in a few minutes. Second is safety and security. If we are at a school, it's going to decrease travel time if there's ever an emergency and urgent need. As an example, we had a student-related issue in a building on Friday. I needed to get out to the school. If I had already been there on the campus, it would have been a 1 minute delay as opposed to a 15 to 20 minute delay for me to get to my car and get to the premises and get inside of that building. So it cut response time into near minutes, and to the high school, a 5-minute drive. Administrative support right now, if there's an elementary school principal that's out, typically there's a teacher left in charge. If we have central office located in a building, it provides quick ready time access by a number of central office administrators to the staff in that building very quickly. It's also centrally located. It's not only travel time for safety and security, but we often have meetings with other administrators and teachers on a regular basis. And we're a further drive for those teachers. So if we're on the main campus, it makes it much easier for teachers and admins and secretaries to come together. And once again, it's half the distance to the high school. So we're then truly a central office, centrally located for all the staff in the schools. And finally, the town is looking for additional flexibility, additional building space for further needs that go beyond what we're looking to do in the school district. So it provides greater flexibility for the town to have access to another building for their own uses as they see fit. I think it's very important for the community to know that the plans to move out of our central office and move into a school is not something that came out of conversations this month or anytime this year. In fact, there was a facility study done, authorized by the school district back in 2016 by a major firm in Connecticut called Malone and McBroom. In that facility study, they actually recommended that what was the Great Oak Middle School at the time, which has now become the Great Oak Elementary School, that it become a 3-5 school plus central office, that we move both into that building simultaneously. That was one of a number of options that was presented to the community back in 2016. So it's not new. This is actually the front cover from that study. As I said, this was a major study that was done and finalized on April 21st, 2016. In that study, it cited that central office should be considered as a relocation option within what became 4 key options in the study. It was noted in this facility report that Oxford Center School, which is where we currently are located right now, as our central office, was constructed in 1947. And it is the oldest building of the school properties in Oxford. And in that report, they actually went through all the mechanics, all the roofs and the walls and the floors and the plumbing. They went through every building, nook and cranny, and they cited this building that Oxford Center School had been in as in fair to poor condition. And we're living with that now. We're in an everyday basis. We're finding mechanical and plumbing issues in the building right now that we're spending a lot of money to maintain and repair. That study took a look at what they considered the educational specifications needed to support our pre-K to 12 educational system. They looked at the number of rooms needed for classroom space, for special areas, and then for custodial and office space and a cafeteria and gym. And in that study at the time, Great Oak Elementary School, which had been Center School, had 397 students. So using the state specifications, they arrived at a mathematical formula of needed square feet per building. The recommendation at the time to meet 397 students was that we need 54,228 square feet to meet the educational needs of a 3-5 school with the number of students that we had back then. And it should be noted that that is 40 plus more students then than we currently have now. And the current building where Great Oak sits right now is 72,268 square feet. That means is that we are in a building that's oversized for the population for a 3-5 school. The facility study came with 4 main options. At the time, we were looking at as a community to possibly renovate Great Oak Middle School as a renovate to new middle school. We decided to build a new middle school. We decided to move Center School over to the Great Oak property. You'll notice in option B in the scenarios that were recommended was to convert Great Oak Elementary School as a 3-5 school and move central office in with that school at that same time. And in fact, in that study, it called for us eliminating Center School as option B. It said to take everything out of Center School and abandon it in place and convert the Great Oak Middle School to a 3-5 school and provide central office. And I think it's key, the words here that it used, that the state-based standards delineate the building as exceeding the square footage with this age group. And to fix that problem so that we're not in an oversized building with not as many students was to provide a separate location for central office within that space there. And it actually even called for the use of the current 5th grade wing, the far right side of the building, the side that's between the parent parking lot or next to the parent parking lot, next to the current middle school, using those 5 classrooms as the central office. And in having conversations with the fire marshal, he actually made a recommendation that we use this space as well. We would put a divider in the glass hallway between the 2 different pods, and that center would become the central office. There's a whole set of parking area and a driveway that we can allocate that's from a security standpoint, separates the central office from the rest of the building and would prevent any of the central office or guests from driving to the back of the building where students are out for recess. From a square foot standpoint, there's some commentary in the town that Great Oak Elementary School has the least amount of square feet and least amount of square feet per student. That's not exactly true. Quaker Farms has 65,000 square feet, which with the current number of students at the building is 160.1 square feet per student. Great Oak Elementary School, with the current building as it stands right now, is 72,700, which is 207.1 square feet per student. The square feet that we're looking to pull from the school and allocate as a new central office equates to 4,824 square feet. That leaves 67,644 square feet for the rest of the school, which is still larger than Quaker Farms and is at 192.7 square feet per student. So in that case, what's remaining for the students in that building still exceeds the square feet allocated to the Quaker Farm School and still exceeds the building recommendations set forth in the facility study in 2016. So in summary, we're leaving a school with the educational space that they need to fulfill the educational commitment of providing high quality education to the students in Oxford in a 3-5 school. It fits the recommendations that were set forth in the study before I was even here in Oxford back in 2016. It goes to 3 superintendents ago when this recommendation was put forward. So this is not a new concept in the town to move our central office into a school along with students and staff. And as I said in the beginning of this presentation, this was considered option B within the facility study at the time. So that is my report to the board. I can answer any questions you may have as board members.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, just I have one at Joe, just in case you can't see me. Robert, you mentioned 3 superintendents ago, and if someone can remember, if maybe I have a short-term memory on this, but did we or did we not at one time when the building was a middle school still house the Connections program downstairs and a wing downstairs for troubled students?
Yes, the Connections program had been downstairs. We had originally been looking at the downstairs same area for the central office.
Yep.
But when we took the fire marshal over there, he had some concerns that we would not be able to kind of get around that he brought to us when he looked at it as a potential area for our
No,
central office.
I understand that. I'm just saying that the use of that building had high school kids mixed in with the middle school kids at that time, correct?
That is correct. And at that time, there wasn't a locked-in vestibule and security with Prox IDs that we would be doing now. So as a reminder to anyone that's watching this, all of our staff carry a badge with a code in it that you walk up to the outside door and you badge your way in. We'd have a door that separates in the hallway from the central office into the school and vice versa. So that would prevent the public coming in from central office into the school, which would give a level of protection and security to the students and staff within the school itself.
So, and so we wouldn't be eliminating any emergency exits, so that wouldn't be an issue. Officer Nichols would still be there. And also the, how many, just roughly, I mean, we don't get a lot of visitors, correct? I mean, we do get some, but nothing.
No, I mean,
The central
most of the time
office?
that we have visitors that are coming in for human resources that are being interviewed or filing paperwork. But we don't have a high volume of staff coming or people coming in from the outside.
And from a cost savings too, do we pay our staff mileage to commute, to go back and forth from building to central office currently on Route 67 when there's meetings and so forth?
We do. Any staff member is eligible to put in mileage. So this would actually cut down the expenses for that drastically.
Okay, I have no more questions.
I have a question, Dr. Miller. There's been concerns about if there's a PPT, I'm sorry, an expulsion hearing in central office, safety issues, what would you recommend and how would you certainly handle that situation?
Well, typically we often have an expulsion hearing that are after hours after the school's day in the first place. And if there ever was a concern of us having a meeting in central office while school's in session that we think that might be a concern, could always hold a meeting in the town library or another town building in that case.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
I'd like to just piggyback on that issue. We've had similar situations in the town that I work in where the actual police department, or another municipal building was utilized. So Dr. Miller's correct about that. So it's standard practice through the industry.
So they do that in Seymour, Joe?
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, and I will also remind the board and the community that Seymour was one of the models that we looked at. They just moved their central office this year into the high school. They took over an entire wing. And I've been in communication with the Board of Education member that facilitated the process, and the superintendent, their facility director, to understand what they went through and the challenges and the overall process that they took from the beginning to the end.
Any other board members have any questions or anything they'd like to ask Dr. Miller, or clarification?
Just a clarification, for the funding to make this happen, is it coming from, where would it be coming from? What line items, or is it surplus at the end of the year kind of thing?
We're anticipating that's going to be surplus at the end of the year. We're trying to do this as minimal as possible. We're talking to vendors now to get quotes. We are not really demoing stuff. The biggest demo that we envision taking place is inside of one classroom, pulling some of the cabinetry out and punching a hole in the wall so the receptionist has direct line of sight into the waiting lobby. We've got to put in a couple doors with Prox IDs. We're actually going to pull the Prox ID system out of our current building, so we're not repurchasing that. We're just purchasing doors. And then we need to put up walls inside of 3 classrooms. And pull out the lockers in one area and put in 5 walls there. So we're talking about basically adding a few walls. If we're demoing a lot of stuff, that's where some of the expense would come from. We're adding a few walls in there. So we're envisioning this to be minimally a minimal cost to the district. If there's things that we want to do over time, we envision that we do this in phases. One of the things I want to be very cautious of is that the staff and the students in this school right now have been living with bathrooms that are substandard. They've been living with HVAC that is substandard. And I want to make sure that when we go into this building, that we are in parallel with them with the same resources. So if we're asking the town to upgrade the bathrooms in the building, I don't think that we should be upgrading the bathrooms for central office until we've looked at bathroom upgrades for the rest of the building as an example. So I think we're going to see this in phases. And I think that we're going to see this at as minimal of a cost as possible.
Excellent.
And just so, I'm not sure all the board members are aware, but we met with the Board of Finance on Wednesday. And the discussion regarding the bathrooms was brought up again, and asking them to assist us in whatever manner they can to release the balance of the funding that is in the building project. Because as we all know, the building is still being managed by the building committee as far as upgrades and things like that. So we technically do not even have control to make those types of changes to the bathrooms. It falls under the building committee. So it was one of the things that was discussed in detail with the Board of Finance, and that there was actually a request from the Board of Finance a couple of years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, that when the committee had funding that they use $1 million of that to renovate the bathrooms. And that was chose not to be done by committee and other parties, which none of it was a member of our board or certainly not Dr. Miller. So it was before his
And
time.
right, thank you. And we've gone on record with the Board of Finance, and I've stated multiple times to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance that this is our number one priority, is to fix the bathrooms in that building. And that was a get out request last week.
Deb, can I ask just a quick question? What did that money get expended, or did it go somewhere else, or did they pull it back, or did they
It was
say?
expended by the committee and the superintendent at the time to do finish work, doing cabinetry. I believe a part of the playground. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was the cabinetry.
The stage.
And the stage. And, sorry, Rob?
The stage was a big one.
Yep. And there was, I think the paving actually was the other part. The bus loop redesign and paving were taken out of those funds. So that was not
The
something that
awning-
we, Yep.
Right.
so that's not something that the board was even involved in. It was something that the building committee for the town that oversaw and is continuing to oversee the project, agreed upon. So,
Okay, thank you.
sure. Anybody else have any questions? Dr. Miller, do you have anything else?
No, I wanted to concentrate my report on this because it's such an important topic for the district, the community. There's been lots of questions. I wanted to focus my energies for tonight on sharing this with the board and the community.
Okay, thank you for doing that. So report of the chair or designee. Well, I'm the designee for tonight. I would just like to ask us to take a quick moment of silence. I know that I've heard of several members of the community, our staff, and I would just like to take the time to acknowledge some of the difficulty that people are having with illnesses and passing. I just want people to know that they are in our thoughts and that we are truly sorry for what they're going through, and they are important. So I would just like us to take a quick moment of silence for the people in our community that are struggling with some issues. Thank you, everybody, for indulging me in that. We're on to subcommittee reports. Facilities, Joe?
Nothing at this time. I think Dr. Miller covered it, so.
Curriculum, we met on the 6th. I've sent you all today a copy of the assessment calendar. So everybody should have a copy of that. I'm pleased to let everyone know that we have worked to ask iReady to come out and give the board a presentation. And hopefully that will be in one of our April meetings, so we can have an actual understand the assessment piece as well as the pathway, and then have further discussions with that. We also talked about planning for professional development. Some of the plans, high school teachers will be going out to different schools for their PD for the block day. And there'll be everybody will have some quality PD and this time, and continue to move scheduling. We talked about a lot about staff being able to, like, in the past there were always opportunities for people to go out to PD. Unfortunately, COVID's kind of put a kibosh on that, so we're kind of just getting back into it, but there are programs that people can go to, and we're certainly encouraging staff to look into what PD they feel is important, and certainly talk to their administrators on that. That's one thing that our board has talked about during budget seasons, and we feel it's very important for our staff to get what they need, and we want that to continue. I can't think of anything else that was Vic or Steve. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Not at this time.
I think it's covered.
Okay. So that's it.
I'll just say one thing that, at the end of the meeting, we had an opportunity as a committee to go to the art show, which is happening the same night. And I just want to thank all of our students and all of our staff. It was a great opportunity to show the board committee the wonderful work that they have been creating all year long. Student work goes well beyond math and literacy, but the creative arts as well. So this was just a great opportunity to see a broad range of student artistic abilities across the district.
it really was a wonderful display, and I want to thank the art teachers for putting that together. They did a phenomenal job, and our students are so creative and just did such a great job. So it was a fun time to see all that. Policy, Nicole.
Oh, Deb, can I just ask a really quick question on
Sure.
a testing schedule? And you don't have to answer today, just wanted to know if there's going to be any fleshing out of the testing schedule as far as, with iReady, what kind of test and curriculum assignment and so forth. And it may be premature, maybe it's going to be when the iReady folks come out that gets fleshed out. That was my only question.
I think that's
I
part
can
of the
answer that
process.
to degree.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah.
Ryan.
I mean, clearly for the assessment, the report from iReady in April, I think there'll be greater insight into how we're using the tool, both as a diagnostic assessment, but also as a learning tool and assessment for teachers to differentiate their instruction for their students. But one of the task force I think we're going to be working on this summer is putting together a team of admins that are looking at assessments itself, both summative and formative assessments, so that we can have a good solid plan on how and what we're assessing our students throughout the school year going to next year.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Policy, Nicole?
The policy committee has not met since the last full board meeting, so there's nothing new at this time.
Finance, Mike?
The only thing to add is that we had the Board of Finance budget presentation. It went really well. It was on Wednesday, March 8th at 6:30 Town Hall. We gave a great presentation. Dr. Miller always does well, and it was well received. We don't know the findings or what follow-up questions they might have, but we were able to kind of walk them through our book, answer the questions that they had, and then answer, questions in regards to the bathroom at Goes. It's funny, but that was definitely a hot topic for that presentation. And they want, when money gets allocated to fix those bathrooms, it needs to happen. We are not going to get a third bite at the apple. So we're gonna, it's our top priority as said, and I think we left with we had to get them numbers. Dr. Miller, did we get them numbers for quotes?
We're working on that right now.
Excellent.
Mike,
That's all.
could you just talk a little bit about what happened between when we approved the budget on the 28th and then what happened by the time we got to the Board of Finance meeting regarding students coming in and sped expenses?
Okay, I can mention that. So we did have an increase to the budget of I don't know the details of the sped individual, but we're going to end up having to outplace, I think, at least one, possibly multiple. Again, the details, we try not to get the details, but the high level is we're going to have to outplace at least one student, maybe more. And I think it cost, Dr. Miller, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 200,000, 250,000 between all the students involved?
Yeah, we're looking at multiple students that are going to require extensive special education support. These are students that came on our radar after we put the budget together, and we're anticipating those costs to be in the range of $250,000 next year. That was unplanned for, not in our current budget projections.
We did get that right before the meeting, so we're able to verbally express it to the Board of Finance. Have we updated our book since?
We have not, because the board approved a budget. What the Board of Finance chair said is that he was just going to add that number into our request and consider that our amended request.
Fair enough.
I just wanted the rest of the board to understand and be aware that there was an additional $250,000 that we requested at that meeting. So.
And I want to thank our Director of Special Education, Dr. Puganovsky, for being right on top of these expenses and bringing it right to us right away. She's a phenomenal Director of Special Education, and her ability to really forecast the future is helping us put us in the right footing for next year.
Thank you. Any liaison reports? The only one I have is PTO meeting is the March 23rd. Anybody have anything else? Okay, the next item on our agenda is executive session. Mike,
Are
do
you
you want to
ready
make
for the
that?
motion?
Yep, please.
I hereby move that the board enter into executive session for the purpose of a strategy discussion and receipt of attorney-client privilege communication regarding pending legal claim brought by former district employee. And I further move that the board invite Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Robert Miller. Anyone else to join us on this, Dr. Miller?
No, so what I'm gonna do is after you vote, I will then move everybody to the waiting room. They could either wait until the executive session is over, or they could just leave the meeting.
Yep, we just need a second on that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the board will enter into executive session.
Okay.
What time is it? Mike, you have the time?
7:09.
7:09.
Thank you.
And I need to stop